fog season here in San Francisco is well underway. Loads of very strong wind getting here. Messed up my hair. Oh well. I think the people of the pink barrio can stand it if my hair's a mess. Huh. I'm gonna go up this way and do the video. So I've had people comment to me that I haven't been on as much as I used to. What's the deal? Well, the deal is that reality is hit. I realize that humans just aren't that smart. They're not smart enough to get through very simple problems, like staying indoors, wearing masks when you're outdoors, staying 6 feet apart. How hard is that? 3 things. Can't do it. So when you see that kind of thing, and you see the reaction to something that could save your life, but you call it a hoax and all this, you lose what hope you had that humans would be able to get out of major climate change problems, that we would figure out to move into the electric age. Because electricity is still a pretty new concept for humans. We haven't even hardly discovered what electricity can even do. It can do a lot. It can run your entire society clean if you don't use dirty fossil fuel to make it. It's how do we make electricity that runs everything. Have to use your brain pretty sophisticatedly to get through that. And I know we have the brain to do it and the smarts to do it, but I don't know what is missing. The intelligence to do it? But anyway, I think this is a good spot now that it's good and loud and sounds terrible with all the vehicles, because San Francisco has opened up today. But you know something? I'm not going to talk about that. I'm so disgusted with that. But we're going to discuss the latest big oil spill. So people use money to get the good life, and they'll do anything for it, including selling their own property, their own land, their own ancestry, their own parents, whatever it is. If you make money doing it, it's okay, and you're considered quite the business person for doing it. Well, that brings me on to oil pipelines across different countries, Canada, the US especially. A new oil spill has been recorded. 50,000 gallons of crude oil spilled on the First Nations sacred lands in Canada. There's a new proposed expansion route would see an additional pipeline on the sacred sites. Now, I know that these pipelines are being forced, but sounds like a truck's coming through. It's just the wind. It's really ripping today. Some lands that are sacred are sold by the native people that live there because they need the money, and they can get paid constantly, right, by the oil companies that are bringing the oil through the nation. So when it ruptures and spills on the land, whose fault is it? Is it the ones that sold out in the first place? You sold out your land to the oil companies for money. Now, the ones that are forced, like here in the US, XL Pipeline is forced on native people without any money going to anybody. Our country just comes and condemns the land and just takes it and puts the pipeline on it. So let's look at a spill history in the US. As you can see, it's continuous. It's non-stop. In many cases, it's lethal to people. Die from these. It's not just some ugly oil. It's just black. It kills. It kills a lot. Look at all the red dots. So let's look at the type of spills that is being recorded here in the US. All those dots. You can see that this is a bit dated, so there's a lot more dots now. As you can see, a lot of different fuels are pumped through pipelines nowadays. It's not just crude oil. Sometimes there's lethal stuff pumped through these pipelines, like natural gas, and it explodes, like which happened just a couple of miles south of here and blew up an entire neighborhood, killed hundreds of people years back. And you know something? That pipeline is still there. There's pipelines running all over our country, through neighborhoods, through industrial areas, through natural areas, and these things do blow up now and then, as you've seen throughout the years, especially where people are so desperate for money they think it's an oil pipeline and they burrow into it and it explodes. Boy, oil companies bringing good things to life. But yet here in the US, we subsidize these oil companies billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. Because of that, the people of the US pay a very low price for their oil. No matter what form it comes in, it's already subsidized. By whom? Oh, that's right, you guys. The people of the US. They subsidize it. They pay for it one way or another. So why not just get rid of the subsidies and just pay directly what oil really costs? Then maybe you'll think about alternative modes of transportation. You know, as we keep seeing more and more records of heat waves broken all over the world, and people are kind of worried about what happens when we reach wet bulb temperature that's at the height, the maximum that humans can take. We're almost there now, just a few more degrees. But as was talked about on Environmental Coffee House, the results of the high CO2 that we have at this time hasn't been realized yet because it hasn't happened yet. There's a lag time from the time that CO2 is pumped into the air, and about 10 to 15 years or longer it takes before the heat starts to rise. But it always does, and it will this time. We think it's hot now. We've already set the bar very high. Whether it's past the wet bulb temperature, probably in many parts of the country, here in the US and other countries around the world, especially the Middle East, they're just about at the peak now. But the reason they get away with it is because the air is so dry, meaning the wet bulb temperature is much higher. It varies depending on the humidity in the air, huh? Squirrel just shot out of the tree, went right across me, and I about flew off my feet. I was never expecting that. Well, I guess he decided not to be on the pink barrio. So anyway, that's the reason why I haven't put on very many videos, because I keep talking about everything and showing ways that we can fix it, but it never gets done. People yawn, click off. You know, it's so last year to talk about climate change these days when things are opening. We're having a second wave, but it doesn't matter. We're open. We can go to bars and restaurants and that type of thing, and wear masks and try and eat through them and drink and be merry and spend. Make sure you spend your money. Look at all these corporates telling us to go out and spend and be happy. What a joke. The whole system can't work. We know it can't work, but yet we insist on going back to it. We right now have an opportunity to change. To make massive changes to our planet, but we never do. We just keep going down the path of least resistance, even though at the end it will be the path of most resistance.